Hello, everyone, and welcome to EdDeeD's Showcase. Today's session is with 21K, the online school that's reimagining K 12 education for the 21st century. I'm Sandhya Viswan, and with me is 21K's founder, Yeshwanth Raj. Thank you for joining us, Yeshwanth.
Yeah, thank you, Sandhya. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. Yeah.
Lovely. To kick things off, I'd first love to hear from you in your own words. Who is Yashwant and what drives your passion in education?
Oh, okay. Uh, so, Sandhya, I've been completely committed to education since the beginning of my career. I started my work with a Bangalore-based Jain Group of institutions, where I was involved in setting up various schools, colleges, universities for the group. That what also took me to Raipur, where I set up a private university. Went on to do my MBA in education management from University of Southampton in UK. Came back to India, started my own company called Stratagem EduServe, where from 2007 to about 2020, in 13 years, we have set up over 75 schools, colleges, universities across India, primarily K-12 schools. So I think my passion for education comes really from a personal experience which I had faced in grade 9. When the grade 9 results came up, I was labeled as duffer, somebody who's not good for education. I was ranked 36 out of a class of 42 students. And my parent, for the first time, put me into a tutorial support with the vice principal of the school. So I studied at Baldwin Boys High School. And, in 2 months' time, in just 2 months' time, I was able to complete the entire grade 10 ICC board syllabus, and I enjoyed learning. I mean, that's where I realized that education needs to be different. Schooling is not the same as learning, and I think probably at the same time I had committed myself to the cause of education, and that's what has been driving me to bring a change. To literally flip the K-12 education system, because that's where a child spends 16 years of his life, and the 16 years really defines the rest of his own track or trajectory for the life. So I think that's critical that we solve for the education.
Wonderful. That's a very interesting journey, parts of which I was aware of. But yes, you've been there in the industry. Besides your personal experience, also you've been in the education system for quite some time to understand this. Now, just to go back to the beginning of 21K, what was that spark? You have been in the industry, you have been working with in the education space, but what was the spark for 21K to be, that little seed that started this off, 21K?
See, I was setting up a school in Kavardha. I'm not sure many of you would not have heard of it. It's a district headquarter in Chhattisgarh. It's a beautiful school that we set up in the name of Abhyuday School. So I was simply walking into the school for my regular consulting work. To meet the principal and the academic team. I saw the principal was struggling actually to find a substitute for the teacher. And so I volunteered saying that, I love talking to kids. Let me use this 35 minutes to engage with the children. I walked in the class, little knowing that this is going to completely transform me and my understanding of education. A little boy there in grade 6 asked me a question, "Sir, what is my crime that I'm born in Kavardha? Why can't I get the same education that my nephew gets in Pune?" Sorry, my cousin gets in Pune. So I was like completely shocked. I mean, I say here I am committed to the cause of education, and I was thinking they've done a great job by setting up schools in remote locations, and it's still not working out. I think the quality of education is still not at par with the metros. Post that, I had got to travel to USA. That's where I learned about online schooling, habits of mind, project-based learning, and since 2016, we have started working on the idea of online schooling.
Mm.
uh, I think that's if we leverage technology the way it's being done in Western countries. I thought this could be a great solution to solve for the problems of access, equity, and affordability to make sure. But we knew that what works in USA will not work in India, so we had to take a long time in terms of getting the technology right, getting the structure, curriculum, and then finally in June 2020, we started with 21K School.
Yes. So you were working on it even before lockdown and COVID struck. So that was an idea that was already there. You're not one of the schools that just came up because of the situation at that point of time. So
No,
on that,
that's
yeah, go ahead.
actually, in Jan 2020, Sandhya, we had actually gave up on the idea of online schooling. I said, well, we did a market research and we said, koi nahi padhayega. In India, nobody is going to send the kids to work out of, to attend a school out of the laptop. So we almost gave up the idea and shelved the project, saying there's a lot of investment, a lot of commitment, and we are doing well otherwise at Strategem. So I take a risk. And but March, everything changed, right? I mean, I think once the entire school ecosystem was online, that's where we knew that the mindsets have changed. And that's why we were able to launch in such a short span of time.
Yeah, right. And the timing happened to be right for you. For many of us, lockdown was what actually gave us the time to adapt, but you could adapt much more quickly because you had all the background work that was already done there. That's
Absolutely.
great. Yeah. And so, on that note, there are so many other online schools today. So, what makes 21K different? Of course, I understand you had done your research and some amount of it, but you also mentioned that you did feel at that time that India was in the right space. But what about your model now, the team or technology? How is it a different experience for students and families?
I think we've been adapting to the needs of the parents and the learners quite quickly. I think the adaptability has been the biggest strength. We started 21K school with a premise saying that, it's going to work for the homeschooling community more. I think I remember in June 2020, I used to actively engage with the parents of the Bangalore Schooling Group and other platforms.
Yes.
But then we quickly realized that homeschooling is a different aspect of it. I mean, it has to be completely unstructured. I mean, I think the beauty lies in having just two teachers. I would say the two parents for one student, right? So the teacher student ratio is actually 2:1, and it can't be structured. I mean, that's the whole approach of it. I think it goes far deeper than that. We're just simplifying this. So we
We had
adopt.
this conversation, I think that in
Yes.
initially in 2020, we had a meeting on the same
Correct.
note. Yes.
And so we had to adopt and then start looking at community outside. And that's where we realized in the first few years, maybe it makes sense for those parents to whom the physical school does not align in terms of their goals. It could be because that they're relocating, because there are health concerns, it could be special education needs, or they could be gifted child. I mean, because India does not have a support system for gifted children, and many other reasons. I think that pivot really helped us in terms of looking at. Today, 93% of our students are those, Sandhya ji, who are not happy with the physical school. So they're all moving out of physical school and joining 21K school because they don't see value for money in terms of how the education should be there. And we all know that the physical school is still a black box. But 7% of our student community are homeschoolers. I think largely because homeschooling is a tough job. I mean, I think there is hats off to the parents who actually do a completely proper, structured homeschooling like you have done for your children. But otherwise, it's a very, very difficult task. So for me, like I still believe that my son Hriday, who's studying at 21K school, is also homeschooled, and it puts off the pressure as far as the academics is concerned. So I know that 21K takes care of the core subjects learning, the education part that me and my wife Nupur need not worry about it. But and we get a lot more time because I get at least about 5 to 6 hours extra every day to work with Hriday on various things that he is passionate about. So I think it's a good bridge between the extreme of homeschooling versus the extreme of a physical schooling.
True. So on that again, when we have homeschoolers, there are different groups or different kinds of homeschoolers. There are some who are totally into unschooling where there's no structure at all, and the exam aspect will come later. However, there's a growing number of families who were sitting on the fence because they weren't sure if they could handle the academics. So online school or 21K is a perfect blend for those parents where this part is taken care of by 21K, the
Correct.
academics part of it, while they can still be able to focus on other interests and passion that the child would have, or even explore various avenues what the child might require in future, and then decide later on what subjects can be taken, because we do have exam options, different exam options that are available for Indian students who are private candidates. Again, would you like to just throw some light on what options are being offered by 21K, the programs?
I mean, so one of the things that we have always kept in mind is to make sure that the school revolves around the lifestyle and the interest and the passion of the child. For example, we offer two different curriculum choices, British curriculum and the Indian curriculum. It's right from nursery to grade 12. At 9, 10th, 11, 12, students could appear for the exams through NIOS, which is an open schooling for the Indian curriculum, as well as Cambridge and Pearson EdExcel for the British curriculum. We offer over 72 subject choices from grade 9, 10, 11, 12. Additionally, we also offer 13 different language choices from grade 1 to 8 as a third language and second language option. And the students are free to select additional capstone courses based on various skill building initiatives that we could do, which is outside the school hour. So we have started offering courses on financial literacy, public speaking, entrepreneurship, digital media, and arts, rhythm and movement. So the number of capstone courses which is available, which is completely optional, because we totally understand that every child may not want to be passionate about STEM or public speaking or music, art, and rhythm. Besides that, we've also tied up with over 200 sports and activity centers across India, where the
Mhm.
learners can go and sign up for sports and other activities in terms of the movement. We also do a number of in-person events and activities. What we started off, with your gracious presence was the Experiential Learning Center at Bangalore. I must say that the parents have very well received that. I think it's a bustling community of makers and students now, and so we are now looking at expanding that model into 30 different cities across India and abroad in the next 3 years time. So overall, I think we are really looking at flipping the entire K-12 education model to make it more personalized, more flexible, and to meet the needs and requirements of every parent and every child.
Okay, so on again a question on that homeschoolers. So some of them would require a different schedule or curriculum customization on that, and sometimes even community support. Is 21K able to address these for the Indian families?
Oh, very well, very well. I must say that we have a personalized learning platform which
Mm.
actually takes care of the individual lesson plans, individual learning needs, and the pathways, as we call them. So I have definitely many children. Let's say a typical grade six grader. Though he's not at par with all the other students, we have a class size of 24 students in the class. But what differentiates us that is that post class hours, he can build up his own learning journey for each individual subject. So he can, let's say, if he excels in math, he can actually start solving grade 7, 8 level problem in math. But if the same child is still struggling, let's say, with language, he can look at English language and solve grade 4 or grade 5 level concepts. So I think it's a very AI based, machine learning based journey, which helps the child to take it up. Plus, you have coding as which has been taught and other things. We have three different levels of engagement with the child. One is the class intervention, second is the tech driven, and third, the teacher gets complete data driven dashboard of every child's progress. And if the child is still struggling, we are able to also give them one to one remedial support. So you'll be very happy to know that 96% of our children don't take up any tuitions, whether physical, online, anything at all, and 21K is able to meet all the academic requirements very well. So I think eventually we are looking at a vision where, for pure excellence in academics, 21K should be the platform for every parent in India and abroad.
Wonderful. Okay, that's so good to hear, actually, the customization part, especially. And again, what about if there are some learning? I mean, obviously, all of it cannot be done online, but
Hmm.
uh, are you able to cater to some learning disabilities if there are any LD that can be done online for remedial? Since you mentioned remedial, for only the academic purposes, is it possible? Are you all able to work around that also, these challenges in children?
We're definitely an inclusive school. Currently, we have about 267 children with varying degree of learning and It's not just learning disabilities, including physical disabilities, other
Yes.
abilities that impair in terms of learning. And we've
Mm.
got a fantastic response. I think some of the students have been outshining others as well. Kia Hatkar, who's
Yes, we know
wheelchair,
her.
having SMA. She's won the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar Award. The many other children who have written, published books, been there on the TEDx talk. I think that's what it's so much more important. I mean, their journey is so different from any other child, and it's important for us to create a space and a path where all of them can flourish.
Great. I've also, I think I read and I spoke to you once where these children are taken for trips also, besides the events that you have. I've read about that as well.
A lot of them. I think last month in May, sorry, in the
Yes,
last summer, we had taken the students to USA NASA trip.
yes,
Before that, we
yes.
had taken them to Dubai, and then Rishikesh, Pondicherry, Karjat and Pune. So number of cities and places. Just recently, we had Yoga Day being celebrated in about 13
Mm.
different cities last month. Before that, we had art festival, we had sports carnival, sports day. So it's a very bustling community of learners and parents. They are able to connect across different cities. We have students from 78 countries representing 50 plus nationalities. So a child in a school is not even to even communicate and collaborate across cultures, but also meeting them in person.
Person. It's great. So, the major aspects of a school, except for a physical environment where they are together for such long hours, every aspect is taken care of by 21K. There's a lot of thought I can see that's been put into the program as such to cater to every little aspect that parents look for in education,
Oh,
with also
absolutely.
with also more time for the parents to do what they want to do with their children if they so wish.
I think
Right.
my own, guiding first principles has been that, will our kids be able to study in the online schools? So like my son has been studying in the school for the last 5 years. This is the sixth year at 21K school. Second, what we've been looking at is that are we, able to bring a lot of data and technology into the learning? Because I think this is one of my favorite questions in the schools where I was working in the physical schools. How do you know that the child is learning?
Hmm.
And I think we all know that marks is not a reflection of the learning. I think it's
Right.
probably the mood or time at that particular point of time. I mean, a child scoring 18 out of 20 in a weekly test versus somebody scoring 14 out of 20. How is it different from both the kids, right? So we have actually been able to integrate technology so deeply in our classrooms, academics, without the parents and kids actually knowing. But we are able to get at a concept level what is the understanding of the child, the entire class, the entire section. So we are able to measure the effectiveness of the teaching. That's why our parent satisfaction rate is consistently is very high. I think the love that we get from the parents is because we've succeeded in breaking the black box of the physical school.
Wonderful. Also, this was a query that had come about. What about practicals? I get this in the NIOS parents group all the time, especially when it comes to NIOS. There's no way for us to, handle the practicals unless we go to a study center, and that's all namesake. So, is
Correct.
that catered to at 21K?
No, I think that's a great question. I think I'm sure it's oft asked, and parents' mind would be concerned about that. So I think what we've been able to do with up to grade 10 syllabus, we are able to do the practicals using simple tools and chemicals and things which is available in anybody's kitchen. The experiments are not very complex, as Mr. Arvind Gupta, of Toys,
Mm. Yes.
the science of toys has shown us that most of the experiments could be done at home using waste materials itself.
Mm.
For grade 11 and 12, like for example, Cambridge gives an option without practicals, you can complete your grade 10.
Alternative to practicals,
I
yes.
think NIS, you can go to the study center and just get used to using this. But
Mm.
the primary concept of practical is to understand how the things are observed, what are the implications of it, and that we've been able to do very well with the virtual lab. For
Mm.
example, if there's an experiment of displacement, right? Most schools would be able to show displacement using a beak or container of water. So in the virtual lab, we are actually able to see is the displacement going to be different in Black Sea versus Red Sea versus fresh water?
Mm.
And can
Ah.
we expose the water to, let's say, a can of oil and see that, whether the displacement would be different. So that actually enriches learning very deeply, and including boards like CBSE are now encouraging use of virtual labs in the physical schools as well. Because of the advantages it gives, and it's not safe in terms of using many science-based, especially chemistry practicals in schools. Biology, anyway, the dissection and others has been avoided. For example, if you want to see the different parts of the heart, right? I mean, so much more easy to see in the ER, VR more rather than seeing a model in the school. So definitely, I think the practicals also we have a much bigger strength, and it has shown in the results of students in 10th and 12th. Students have already got admission into IIT, National Law School, VIT, you name the top universities in India and abroad, students have already securing admission in these universities.
Oh God. So that's so wonderful to hear that they're also doing well. Last 5 years, right? It's 5 years now since
Correct. Yeah. The sixth year.
6th year. So it's great to hear this. Okay, so before we wrap up, thank you so much, Yashwant, for sharing 21 case story and what is being done at the online school. And for everyone watching this, visit eddeed.com and 21 case profile to understand more and reach out to 21K. If you need to know more, please get to eddeed.com and 21 case profile. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandhya. Thank you so much for hosting this. I really love the conversation.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Yashwant.
Thank you. Yeah.